Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, March 15th. Ian Cameron, Ryan Robinson in the house, and stepping in for Terry Edelman with vocal cords intact. Joining us on this Saturday show, filling in for someone that does not have them intact. Unfortunately, Alex B. Smith, no voice, lost his voice apparently, and unable to join us today. We hope you get better, Alex. Like I said, it's not fun to have that type of thing happen. Hope you're feeling better sooner rather than later. We got a huge Saturday card. I'm just going to go quick through the recap so we can get right into the games, especially the first game, which is going to start soon, Vegas and Buffalo, in just a little bit. Credit to the Winnipeg Jets. Great win last night for them, 4-1 against Dallas. Kind of a game where, the injuries and the loss of Hintz and Heiskanen kind of getting the better of Dallas there against a team of that caliber. The regular season Winnipeg Jets, at least. We'll have to see if they can play like this in April and beyond, but they get the 4-1 win. Edmonton 2-1 against the Islanders. Thank goodness. I was about to go over in this game, but thankfully the Oilers' money line cashed. The team total fell short, but the money line cashed. Leon Draisaitl, both goals for the Oilers, and they get the overtime win. In fact, 2-1 in overtime. He had a great game, led the way for the Oilers. And how about Calvin Pickard? This is now a little trend with him. Off a bad game, he's good. Off a good game, he's bad. That's what we're starting to see with Calvin Pickard. And he's off a great game last night, so maybe look out the next time you see Calvin Pickard in net. Carolina 4-2 against Detroit. Detroit got the first goal, but Carolina responded. And they get a 4-2 win there against the Detroit Red Wings in that game. Colorado 4-2 against Calgary. I did take a piece of the Avs team total over 3.5 there. Just figured a good bounce back spot, and they were able to get the job done there, 4-2 against Calgary. Anaheim, quack, quack. We thought they were a live home dog. Nashville, what business did they have? Even though they've been winning a little bit, what business did they have laying -160 on the road against Anaheim? And the Ducks got a nice 2-1 win there over Nashville. And this game was a bit of a disappointment to me. Utah, man. We had the team total and the money line split, but they lose 4-2 to Seattle. We did have the first period over and the full game over, and we cashed the first period over. We pushed with the full game over, so it wasn't all bad, but not the kind of performance you want for Utah. You can't be losing games like that when you're trying to make the playoffs, and only scoring 2 goals against Philip Grubauer, kind of disappointing as well. They had their chances, but puck didn't go in. Seattle with the 4-2 win there against Utah last night. Ryan, quick thoughts on yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't catch a ton. I watched the Dallas-Winnipeg game. It was a little frustrating, but kind of saw that coming. Something I did do, which I will mention on the show, is a lot of the college hockey tournaments are going on. So I was watching the NCHC conference tournament here at Mold Arena, and something I have been doing, which is it worked really well for me yesterday, is taking ASU money line. It's like -340 as a parlay piece. So like if there's a prop or a side that I really liked yesterday, I did it with Colorado, did it with the Oilers. That's like -130, -140, and you want to make it plus money, throw that in. It'll get you a nice plus price. So I did that a few times yesterday. It worked out. If they win tonight, they close it out and move on to Alex's backyard in St. Paul next week. So that's something I did yesterday with a few pieces that I liked with my NHL plays, with money lines and playing a couple props down lower, putting that as a parlay piece, gives you a really good price. So that's something I did a couple times yesterday, and I look for them to close it out tonight. So I will be throwing that in with a couple plays I like today, but. Disappointing for Utah. I did catch the tail end of that. I always like seeing how they're doing, especially with Donor up there. So I didn't have a ton yesterday. Obviously, a much bigger card today, but that's pretty much all for me yesterday. And I will look to pick those spots today as well.
Yeah, the college hockey, you can make money there too. No doubt about it if you do your work, no doubt. Terry, any thoughts last night on what we saw on Friday?
Yeah, I'll be real quick because we got a game starting in about 10 minutes or around 20 minutes because it usually starts 10 minutes after.
You don't take the game off the board till the puck actually drops. So we
Yeah.
got 20 minutes. Yeah.
I'm off one of those days that you want to forget. Reverse sweep, 0-6 day yesterday. Wasn't a good day.
Yeah, it hasn't been great for me
overall.
since the deadline, too. So join the club.
Well, this whole week it's been kind of even. And then yesterday down. But a bunch of great spots to talk about today. I love today's slate. So I'm ready for a bounce back Saturday. Here
Yeah, you know what? It's scary because even though this has been a bit of a downturn for me since the trade deadline, I actually do like this card. So hopefully that means it's going to be a nice nice day, nice profitable day here to start. All right, let's get to Vegas and Buffalo. This game is starting in about 15, 20 minutes. Vegas minus 210 road favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. Buffalo's obviously one of these herky-jerky teams. I mean, we see them obviously beat Edmonton early in the week at home. Then they go on the road. They get trampled by Detroit, 7-3, a football score. It was the Lions and the Bills that night, maybe if you would have thought. But Buffalo looking to bounce back here in this one. Now, they are short-handed. No J.J. Paterka, and Josh Norris is also out. He got injured in the Detroit game, and he will not play here. So those are two key top six forwards missing for the Sabres. It's a tricky spot, though, for Vegas. You always worry about these West Coast teams, Pacific time zone teams, when they're playing these 12:30 in this case, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 9:30 a.m. local time starts on a Saturday. Buffalo's used to these. Vegas, not so much. I like first period over. I like both teams to score in the first. I'm taking a shot with Buffalo to score in the first period at mine, and I laid a price with this. It's minus 150 with Buffalo to score in the first period. You could go over 1 with the team total and get plus money, but then you'd have to see Buffalo score 2 goals in order to cash that ticket. I just want to count on Buffalo to score 1 because I think they actually can do that here. Maybe jump on this Vegas team in this spot to just get a goal. I don't trust the Sabres enough, Turnsey, on the money line because of their defense. And obviously that comes and goes for the Sabres, as we all know. And that's why I kind of like Detroit the other night. I do have some faith that they can strike for a goal early in this game in the first period. So I'm just going to go with the goal in the first period at minus 150 for Buffalo. Both teams to score in the first period and over 1.5. I lean to the full game over too, but I like the first period over. The first period looks a lot more here in this game. The smaller on the full game over for me in this one. And yeah, Jack Eichel, it goes without saying. It's almost like he still takes it personally after all these years, how bad his tenure was in Buffalo. So anything you want to take with Jack Eichel props, it does make sense because he always seems to play well and he always seems to score at least 1 goal when he goes back to Buffalo to face his old team. Ryan, what do you think here? Anything you like? Golden Knights?
Yeah, I do like the first period over. I'm going to play a small piece on that just as something to have in this early game. I think there could be some goals early. And then, yeah, obviously you mentioned Eichel, but rather than, he always seems to score against Buffalo and, the bad blood there. So I don't care if it's been 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, he'll always want to put on a show in that rink. And so something I like is him to 2+ goals is plus 950. He always seems to find the back of the net. And if he gets one, obviously, who knows, maybe the net's empty late in the game. He has a chance for an empty netter or, whatever. So if you like him to get 1, I think it's worth taking a small chance with 2 at that plus 1,000 I'm seeing on other books. So I'm going to take a small shot with that as well with the hope that he lights it up today.
He did not send his card yet. He's worried about getting back to health. He'll probably have a couple plays. He might send them later, but he hasn't sent them yet. He's usually Alex when he's not well. He's going to scale back in his betting volume. So if he sends me anything, I will post it obviously on the Patreon page later for sure. Terry, what do you like here? Vegas and Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm all over Jack Eichel props. First is the power play point at a plus 160. Not as good as we've been getting previously, but Vegas's power play has been very good lately. Eichel's got a power play point 6 of his last 7 games. Buffalo's penalty kill 23rd ranked. They've allowed a power play goal in 3 of 4. So I like Eichel power play point. And yeah, I have to take Eichel anytime goal here. 3 consecutive games against Buffalo with a goal. He had at least 7 shots in all 3 games. So 7 shots in one, 8 shots in the other, and then 7 shots in the first meeting between the teams this year. there's still bad blood. When you don't let a person get a surgery that they need, that there's still very bad blood there. So I'm all over Jack Eichel. And yes, also Tage Thompson. He's scored in 5 of his last 6 games, playing very well for the Sabres at this point. So I locked him in plus 170. And I'm going to regret not being on him, as Jonathan Davis says in the chat, with Olofsson. I really should pull the trigger on Olofsson. I'm considering it now, but obviously bad blood there with him as well with Buffalo. So I think Vegas wins this game. How you bet it probably would have to take the puck line, but I like Eichel props in this game. Kind of gotta.
Yeah, I know. You kind of got it. He's done well here in Buffalo and always seems to play with that chip on his shoulder, wanting to make an impact. And I agree with Jonathan's take now that he's playing on the top line, and he's a former Buffalo Sabre playing with the Vegas Golden Knights now with Eichel and Stone, plus 480. Plus 480 is actually what I see at some books with Victor Olofsson to score a goal. So that's got to be taken, especially with him on the top line. And he's back to Buffalo too to face his old team. And he's a power play guy, and we know the Buffalo penalty kill kind of struggles. Not kind of, usually struggles. So from that standpoint, Victor Olofsson's definitely a good look, especially getting that bump from Bruce Cassidy to the top line. All right, New Jersey and Pittsburgh. We've got New Jersey minus 145, road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. This is the second of 3 afternoon games. I'm interested maybe in the draw here. I'm not interested in really fading either team at the moment. I think New Jersey's still better than Pittsburgh, but minus 145 on the road, and Pittsburgh's winning right now. Say what you will. I mean, they beat St. Louis, who are battling for their playoff lives. We saw what they did there. They obviously won a couple of games before that as well, Pittsburgh. So they're on a little run. They're playing with some confidence. They're playing hard. When you got a guy like Sidney Crosby as your captain, as I've said a couple of times this week, hard to look yourself in the mirror and phone it in, if you will. And I just don't want New Jersey at this price on the road. So it's an interesting game. Both teams, on a little bit of an uptick right now. Devils with a nice win against the Oilers the other night. They've found a way to put together some good, solid team performances without Jack Hughes, Dougie Hamilton, and, of course, Siegenthaler as well, one of their better defensemen. So this is a pass for me. Maybe a small lean to the draw. That's about it. Ryan, what do you think here, New Jersey, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I also don't hate the first period over in this game. I don't have a side or total in this one. I kind of lean New Jersey, if anything, but this is a game that I'm not heavily into. So not a lot for me this game.
And we got to give Tristan Jarry credit. We ridiculed him a lot, and rightfully so. This has been a nice little second wind for him, this second opportunity he's had with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah, I like the third period over, Addison. It's worth a look. But again, you got to wait for that one, right? You either have to bet third period over pregame, or you got to wait for the 1.5 to get cheap enough to bet it. But if it does get to that point where you can get over 1.5 at a reasonable price in the third period, yes, 12 straight New Jersey games have gone over the total in the third period. Terry, what do you think here, Devils, Penguins?
I don't really love this game. I don't have any plays officially here. One player to keep an eye on, though, is Jesper Bratt for the Devils. Back-to-back games with a goal, back-to-back games with 2 assists. So back-to-back 3-point games for Bratt. A point in 9 of his last 10 against Pittsburgh, and an assist in 5 of his last 6 against Pittsburgh. So I really wanted that assist prop. It's minus 135, which I just won't do for a player prop, for an assist prop at least. Even for a goal prop, I won't go that high. But a good parlay piece. Jesper Bratt over 1.5 points is plus 200. So if you want to look at that route. But overall, this game is not one of my favorite games on the board.
All right. Next up, as we continue on, this is the last of the weekend game, or afternoon games, I should say, taking place on this Saturday. We've got the Washington Capitals and the San Jose Sharks. Washington minus 240, road favorites, 6.5. The total shaded to the under here in this game. It's Washington off a loss. It's Washington off a shutout loss at that, 3-0 against the Los Angeles Kings the other night. So interesting to see how this one plays out, obviously, between these two teams. But Washington off a loss is usually, that's when I want to back them. Obviously not at the money line price, But I like them here to bounce back, and I like them to do it via the team total. That's always the way to go when you're talking about a favorite of this size. The over 3.5 is reasonable enough here with the Washington Capitals in this game. And another thing, too, to keep in mind, I went back and looked. Washington, they've only been shut out one other time this season, Washington, and they bounced back and they won the next game 5-3. So off their last shutout loss this season, they not only won, but they won 5-3, and they scored a bunch of goals. So that's kind of what I'm banking on here, that you can get your offense back on track here against a team like San Jose. I would expect them to do just that. So that's the clear best bet for me is Washington, in this game at least, is a Washington team total over. Logan Thompson projected, not confirmed. Georgiev projected, not confirmed. We don't have either starter confirmed as of yet here for this particular game. But definitely interested in Washington team total over. It is the system play, so I'm going to sprinkle in the first period over and full game over. But keep in mind, the system play has really, really cooled off since the Four Nations break with the teams off the shutout loss. These are not cashing like they did before the Four Nations break. I think there's two things. One thing, the break, kind of threw everything off. And secondly, it's also a situation where you've got what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, you've got teams, they're playing tighter, defensively as the games get more important. And I think that has definitely played a role in it. There you go. Sharks team total, says Jonathan, 13 of the last 16 Caps games. They've given up 3 or more. Yeah, I think when it's that, I might have to sprinkle on that too, because it seems that 2.5 number, even for San Jose, they might be able to get to 3 in this game, because that's been the trend. 13 of the last 16 games, they've given up at least 3 goals. Now, a lot of the times the opponent's 3.5. 3.5, I wouldn't want the opponent team total, but 2.5, certainly. Maybe the Sharks can chip in here against Tom. And Thompson hasn't been nearly as sharp of late. Great. Again, he's kind of like the way the system play's gone since the Four Nations break. Before the Four Nations break, the system play was great. Before the Four Nations break, Logan Thompson was great. Coming out of the Four Nations break, he's been not nearly as sharp in that. I'm not saying he's been bad, but he's definitely not been as good as he was before the break. Ryan, what do you think here? Washington, San Jose.
Yeah, I was right there with you. As soon as I saw Washington get shut out, I looked to see who they were playing next. And I like them in this spot, not taking their money line, but even with the Sharks beating, Chicago and playing Nashville close, I'm not convinced that everything is shored up defensively and, great and sound. And Washington obviously has firepower. They have the ability to put up 4, 5, 6 goals any given night. So I definitely like their team total, that over 3.5, that -130, -135 range. So that's something I'm taking pregame for sure. But in terms of anything, totals or picking aside, I'm staying off of that for this one. And then I might look at the total live if there's a few minutes into the game and there's not any goals yet. If it drops like a 5.5 or if lower scoring first period, then I might hop in on that total. I just don't trust Georgiev ever. So that's something I'll be looking for maybe live, but just team total for me pregame.
And this is a game where Washington's a big favorite. We don't anticipate them taking San Jose lightly because they lost their last game and got shut out by LA. So with that in mind, this is definitely a prime candidate to sprinkle on Alex Ovechkin plus 750 last goal. I mean, he's going to obviously get the opportunity into the empty net and they're going to look for him. Unless the other night, Ovechkin looked for Protas to give him the hat trick, which shows you what kind of teammate he is. Didn't care about padding his stats, wanted to get his teammate, Alexei Protas, the hat trick. So the last goal prop is worth a look today in this spot, I think, for Ovechkin plus 750. Terry, what do you think here, Capitals, Sharks?
Yeah, the books have made it really hard for me to back the Capitals here.
Yep.
Especially with player props. The 3 guys in the second line, Protas, McMichael, and Dubois. Even McMichael and Protas are -125 just to get a point. So they've been plus money in previous games. Washington should have a big bounce back game here. So I would definitely keep an eye on the Capitals here. For me, though, 2 player props, and they're both with San Jose. 2 San Jose props. First, Will Smith over 0.5 point, which I got for minus 106. Will Smith, he's got a point in 8 of his last 9 games, playing really well for the San Jose Sharks. And while the Sharks team definitely is going to finish, I think, in the last place in the NHL this year, they have a bright future. They have a ton of young talent. Will Smith definitely showing up right now. And then also on his line, Colin Graff. He's got a point in 4 of his last 5 games, plus 170 at Bet365 just to get a point in this game. He's done it in 4 or 5. He's playing with Will Smith. And of course, Wenberg. He has a point in 6 of 8. So that's the second line of the Sharks. And then the top line's good to produce as well. So, well, I do think Washington wins the game. I'm on 2 Sharks props. I think they can do their fair share here and score a goal or a couple goals here in this one.
So I went Jack Eichel 2 points. I'm just punching it in right now on my phone here. Jack Eichel 2 points and 3 points, and you can get upwards of 550 with 3 points for him, plus 550. So I think it could be one of those days. Goal props on Eichel, goal props on. I'm taking Tuck for a goal prop because again, Buffalo used to be with Vegas, and of course the Olofsson's a great value for sure. Plus 480 at Betano Sportsbook in Ontario. It's an Ontario book, Betano. Plus 480 there for Victor Olofsson. Top line and back in Buffalo against his old team. So that's a good prop game there, Vegas and Buffalo. And I like the Colin Graff look. He's starting to step up right now for San Jose. Worth a look there, no doubt. All right, Florida and Montreal. The rest of the games are at night. Florida minus 200 road favorites. The total in this one, 5.5. I mean, you got to be careful in these spots here late in the season. Florida, a huge divisional showdown, battling with Toronto for first. They get the big win, 3-2. Not the optimal spot to come back and lay minus 200 with them. Remember, this is a Panthers team that lost to the Boston Bruins right before beating Toronto. They lost that game 3-2. So I'm not laying 200 with Florida in this spot. The one thing that I'm hesitant about taking Montreal with, though, is the fact that they're coming back off the road, off that long West Coast roadie, which ended in Seattle with that shocking loss. And it was a shocker. They were up 4-2, and Brandon Montour beats them with a goal right off the opening faceoff in overtime, just a set play. So it's just one of these deals where it's just a brutal way to end the road trip for Montreal, road trip that had gone pretty well. You know, they got, well, actually, they lost to Calgary. They lost in overtime to Edmonton, but they got a point, and then they beat Vancouver. But that really would have made it a pretty good road trip had they beaten Seattle, but they lost in overtime there. That's the only thing that I'm hesitant on. As I want to take Montreal, I don't really love this spot for the Florida Panthers. Remember, they're still without Tkachuk and Aaron Ekblad and key pieces, of course. I could see Montreal sneaking up on them, and every game's huge for Montreal right now as they battle for their playoff lives. I'm tempted by Montreal, but I just don't love it with them coming off the road trip out west. Ryan, what do you think here? Panthers, Canadians.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I lean Montreal in this spot, but I'm not, anytime you come back from a long road trip like that and lots of travel and, ups and downs, it's that first game, you never know. A team will either be flying or they'll come out a little bit flat and lay an egg. So I lean Montreal. Don't have anything as of now on it, but another play that's worth a look, I think, is Montreal. If you like them, if you feel good about them, their team total 2.5. Cheap 110, 115 price. So I think, that's a much safer play if you think it could be a 4-3 game, 5-3, whatever, but you're not sure if it's going to be Florida or Montreal. I think that team total is a safe play in this one.
Yeah.
At a good price as well.
Yeah, no doubt, because you're playing obviously a great Florida Panthers team, no question. So like I said, definitely if I were to play Montreal, it would be the team total I prefer more than the money line. There's no question. Terry, anything you like here with this one, Florida, Montreal?
Yeah, I went with the same game parlay here in this game because I've been backing Mackie Samoskevich to get a point. He has one in 5 of his last 6 games.
Yep.
Minus 122 for him to get a point today. So didn't really like that price. So I parlayed him with his line mate, Sam Bennett, who's got a point in 4 games in a row, as well as 7 of his last 9 against Montreal. So I parlayed those two together to get a point, which is plus 150, which is a much better price being line mates. Obviously, we saw them on the power play in the last game for the Florida Panthers produce. So I'll take both of them to get a point in a same game parlay. Cole Caulfield, back-to-back games without a goal, but he has scored in 5 of his last 7 and 3 of his last 4 against Florida. I haven't pulled the trigger on Caulfield, but I think if someone's scoring for Montreal tonight, if they're going to get some offense here, I think Caulfield is a good look for a goal. But just that same game parlay here for me in this one.
All right, good stuff. Next up, we've got, it's the Battle of Ontario. It's the Ottawa Senators and the Toronto Maple Leafs. And isn't it great to see a Battle of Ontario where both teams are actually pretty good teams at the same time? Usually, recently, it's been Toronto's been good and Ottawa's been bad. But now Ottawa, they are obviously firmly in the first wild card spot. They are playing really well. And Toronto, obviously, they've had a great season, but they're not playing so well recently. So fascinating game with these two provincial rivals. We've got Toronto minus 140 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. I mean, at this price, I lean Ottawa. They're playing well. They played Toronto well, in Toronto especially. Senators already won here earlier this season in Toronto. Playing well, no question. Toronto off the 3-2 loss to Florida. They played well enough defensively, but the special teams really did them in. I mean, they gave up 2 power play goals to Florida, and Florida ended up shutting out Toronto's power play, and that was the difference in the end in what was a 1-goal game, very close game. I do think Toronto does play better here, and they've had this is another thing too that's going to be a benefit for Toronto tonight. It's that they are finally home and don't have to travel. And it's been a while since we've been able to say that. They played Thursday against Florida, and now for the first time in what feels like weeks, they haven't had to travel to their next game. And that is definitely something that you want to pay attention to here, that's probably a good thing for them. I didn't move on Ottawa, but I lean that way. I did move on the draw. I think there's a great draw candidate here. I think it's a competitive game. When we look at Ottawa, there's certainly been a lot of close games from them recently. And even you look at Toronto here down the stretch, a lot of their games have been of the 1-goal variety. Florida, 1-goal game. Utah, 1-goal game. 4 of the last 8 games overall for Toronto have gone past regulation, and 3 of the last 6 for Ottawa have gone past regulation. So I think it's a tough side. I think that there's some value with Ottawa because they're playing a little bit better right now than the Leafs. Leafs are kind of scuffling a bit. The Leafs will not be at their best as a team until Austin Matthews scores. And I've been very kind about not criticizing him. But enough with the goalposts, enough with the missed nets, enough with fanning on the shot. You are a guy that scored over 60 goals last year for this hockey team. They need you right now. While you could get contributions from Nylander and Matthew Nyes has had a great season, and Max Domi's starting to get it going, and you've had the likes of Bobby McMahon and Nick Robertson and guys like that chip in offensively for them. You're the captain. You're supposed to be healthy. Why are you playing if you're not healthy? People are saying, well, he must not be healthy. Well, why the fuck's he playing then? He should be shut down if he's not healthy and get him ready for the playoffs or next year. But he's an elite goal scorer, at least we think he is. He's got to find a way. This is too long now that it's been with the goalposts and the crossbars and the missed nets and just the opportunities where, and yeah, the goalies have played well, but you've got to put the puck in the freaking net if you're Austin. It's got to start happening. And it's going to have to happen in the playoffs too, or else they're not going to go far. It's time. It's time for that to happen if you're Toronto. Like I said, I've been very kind. He's trying. He's doing a lot of good things offensively as far as assists, and setting up his teammates, and the defensive side of the puck. He's playing very well, very hard. He blocks a lot of shots. He's a very good defensive player now. He's one of the better defensive players in the NHL, but they didn't get you. They didn't draft you initially just to be the next Patrice Bergeron and an elite defensive forward. They got you because you had the ability to be dominant as a goal scorer in the NHL. It's time we see that version of Austin Matthews again. Long overdue. Ryan, what do you think here in this one? Ottawa, Toronto.
I'll probably sprinkle the draw. I like that a lot. Obviously, this game could be close, but as Alex would say, I know you like Ottawa. I'm going to give you the old not so fast, my friend. I kind of lean Toronto in this spot. Ottawa has taken beaten Toronto the 2 times they played this year, so they have taken care of business. But and they are playing really well. It's hard to not back them at this plus 120 price, but I just have a feeling, Toronto's at home for the first time in a bit. They don't have to travel like you mentioned. They had a tough stretch there, so I feel good about Toronto in this spot. And then I also, Matthews has, I think it's like 50 points, close to 50 points in 34 games against Ottawa. So this is a team that he seems to find the back of the net again. So I don't hate those goal props. I also am going to take a small shot with him. 2+ points. I see plus 186, plus 190-ish range on some books. So I think if Toronto takes care of business, Matthews is going to have to drive that offense. He hasn't been great lately, but sometimes all it takes for those streaky guys and those elite players is playing a team that they've had a lot of success against. Because when you find the back of the net once, or you get a couple points early in the first period, it just seems to open the gate for a lot of success and get the ball rolling. So give me Toronto minus 140, as well as Matthews 2+ points. This is a team he loves to play, so I could see him having a huge night.
Well, if he has a huge night, Ryan, it'll be the first in a while. But you know what? He's had his chances. There's no question about that. And it's just I'm at the point now where, look, I know you're trying and you're getting the chances, and the goalies are playing well. They're making great saves against you. You're missing the net with some of your chances. You're hitting crossbars and you're hitting posts. I get all that. You're trying, but you got to produce. You got to put the puck in the freaking net at some point. And like I said, it's got to happen, because if this keeps going, you're not going to win hockey games indefinitely. If this keeps going for Austin Matthews. So like I said, we'll see if Toronto, and that's the thing too, Toronto, I feel this is their best situational spot heading into a game in a long time. Off a loss to Florida, no travel. They finally get to stay at home for 2 games in a row. So that's what's keeping me off Ottawa. I think situationals are pretty strong for Toronto here, but I ain't laying minus 140 against Ottawa. I think the draw, though, is in play. Pinto, of course, when it comes to goal props. Yes, parlay Pinto, man. He has been outstanding for the Ottawa Senators lately. And we're finding out now that with him healthy, how big of a component he's been for this Ottawa Senators team. So I like Pinto as far as props. You're right. Amadio, Gregg, and Pinto, that third line's been good. Back-to-back games with a goal and 3 points for Pinto entering tonight. And I'm going to go with Dylan Cousins. If I'm not mistaken, Dylan Cousins has actually played pretty well against Toronto in the past when he was a member of the Buffalo Sabres. So I think Dylan Cousins here makes an impact for Ottawa. And obviously he's been very impressive since joining the Ottawa Senators. And then for Toronto, I know Ryan likes Austin Matthews. I'm going to have to see it before I believe it. But Max Domi, man. Max Domi's a playoff guy. And we saw the fight and the goal against Florida, which was great. He was one of the better players for the Leafs last year in the first round against Boston in the playoffs. He played very well. He had to move to center because of some injuries. He seems to be a guy that, even though he's not had a very good regular season offensively, he is a guy that elevates in the bigger games and later in the season. That's kind of what I get from Max Domi. So I think Max Domi night maybe again. Let's take a shot. It can strike again here at a very nice price, because you can get Max Domi here in this game for the Toronto Maple Leafs upwards in that plus 600 range in some spots. You can get 650 at BetMGM with Domi to score a goal tonight. Why not at that price? Take a shot. Terry, what do you think here? Battle of Ontario.
One of my favorite games of the night, but me and Ryan are against each other here. I love the Ottawa Senators here in this spot. I did get plus 140 last night with them. And I think the wrong team is favored here in this game. This Senators team right now has it going. They have it going, and they look like a team that is determined to end their playoff drought and get back to the playoffs here. Obviously, 6-0-1 in their last 7 games, and they've scored at least 4 goals in 6 of their last 7. So their offense is hot right now. The Leafs, they've lost 4 or 5, and they've lost 4 or 5 at home. They have not been playing well at home. They've not been playing well lately. And Ottawa has owned the series matchup between these teams, winning 5 of the last 6 meetings between these teams. this may be a good spot for Toronto being at home, like Ian said, a situational spot, but I think this is the wrong team. This is the wrong team for them to bounce back against. So I do like the Senators as well. Give me a same game parlay with the top line. Tim Stützle, a point in 16 of his last 17 as well. 5 of his last 6 against Toronto. Brady Tkachuk is on an 8-game point streak. And then Claude Giroux, 3-game point streak for him, but 11 of his last 12 against Toronto. He's got a point. So I same game parlayed that top line for plus 320 for all 3 to get a point. And then I am also on Dylan Cousins, plus 128 to get a point. 4 games since being traded from Buffalo. He's got a point in all 4. So I'll take him here. We'll see what happens in this game. But I like the Senators here.
All right, there you go. Terry Edelman liking the Senators here, the red-hot Ottawa Senators here in this game at plus 120 in this one. And like I said, should be an interesting game here with the Sens and the Leafs. Totals-wise, look, we've had 2 unders, both of them Ottawa wins this year between these 2 teams. I really didn't feel strongly one way or the other about the total in this game. Although I do want to point out one thing. I remember that Ottawa-Detroit game. It kind of had that playoff feel. 2 teams battling for points, 2-1 there. I could see over, I could see under. So for me, it's a tough total to touch. All right, next up, we've got, as we continue along here, Carolina and Philadelphia. Hurricanes minus 170, road favorites. The total in this game sitting at, looks like 5.5 pretty much across the board in this one. I don't want to back Carolina at this price on a back-to-back. I don't really want to back the Flyers at all, quite honestly, though. That being said, they have played Carolina tough in the past, situational advantage for Philadelphia, but based on what I've seen from Philadelphia lately, I'm not really rushing to back them. So this is probably going to end up being a stay-off game for me when it's all said. The 5.5, I kind of lean over because the Flyers games are starting to trend that way a little bit as far as overs because their D and their goaltending just aren't shutting things down. Ersson in net for the Flyers confirmed. It should be Pyotr Kochetkov here on the back-to-back. So maybe a small bet on over 5.5 here, but I don't want to lay it with Carolina in this spot, and I don't trust Philly enough, so nothing on the side. Ryan, what do you think here, Hurricanes, Flyers?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This is a pass for me. I think if Carolina was in that minus 130, minus 140 range, it'd be worth a shot, but with a back-to-back, it's not worth it for the price you have to pay for that minus 170. Carolina is hot though. I don't not want to back them right now, but I also don't trust Philadelphia. They haven't been great. They've struggled. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation for me. I don't want to pay that minus 170, and I don't trust Philadelphia even given the juicy plus 150. So there's just a pass for me. I think what you said with the total 5.5, that could be worth a look. If you think there's going to be some goals, maybe even if it's slow, if the first 5 minutes of the game are slow and sloppy and you see a 4.5, halfway through the first, might be worth a look. But this is probably just going to be a total pass for me, honestly. So that's all I have for this one.
Yeah. If you're going to bet Carolina, do the Jonathan Davis route. For sure, and take the team total over 3.5. I mean, that's the way you're going to have to go about it, I think, if you're going to take them here in this one. Terry, what do you think here with Carolina, Philly?
Yeah, there's some games on today's slate I love, and then there's other ones like this one where it's just like I won't even be paying attention to this game. I'm not fading the Hurricanes right now. They seem to have got it going here lately. But the Flyers, I don't see any reason to look to back them. Right now, they don't really have any players consistent offensively. The Hurricanes right now, Seth Jarvis, he scored in 3 of 4. He didn't score last night. I took him. I'm not taking him tonight. So Seth Jarvis is probably going to score. So that would be my suggestion here because that's what happens when you take a guy. As soon as you jump off, that's when he's going to score. So Seth Jarvis probably scores tonight, but no place for me here in this one.
All right, it's a pass here for Terry when it comes to the Hurricanes and the Flyers. All right, we continue along here. Next up, we've got Tampa Bay and Boston. Tampa Bay minus 180 road favorites. The total here, 5.5 shaded to the over. I mean, just a week ago, we saw Tampa Bay. We thought Boston was going to be the team that was going to be flat and not show up after all the trades and the captain, Brad Marchand, Brandon Carlo, Charlie Coyle, all the guys that were moved out of Boston and traded from the Bruins after the trade deadline. And instead, they ended up going to Tampa and shutting out Tampa in stunning fashion, 4-0 in that game. Now they meet a week later here in Boston tonight for a 7 p.m. Eastern puck drop. You would think Tampa, it's redemption time. It's a kill spot here for the Lightning, to get bounced back and take care of this Boston team, but they are not playing great right now. And when you look at Tampa, they are going to have obviously Vasilevsky back in net tonight here against the Bruins, but Kucherov is still very much his status up in the air for this game with the illness. It kept him out of the game against Philly. They lost that game, obviously 4-3. So interesting spot here. I'm waiting on Kucherov's status and seeing if Vasilevsky plays, which I expect. Jeremy Swayman in net for Boston. If I bet Tampa, though, it's going to be team total because I think it's the offense that I would have to trust here to get back on track. And look, they've scuffled a bit scoring, of late, Tampa, no question. Getting held down in some of these games, shut out by Boston. And obviously they only got to 3 against Philadelphia, which is not exactly what you want to see. But like I said, if Kucherov's back here in this one, I think Tampa gets their redemption against Boston for last week. I'm going to go with a Tampa first period puck line as well. I'm just not going to turn down that price at plus 156. It's a very good price for the first period puck line. You would think Tampa comes out strong. So I'm going to go a little bit with that, as well as the Lightning team total over 3.5, which is actually plus money in this game. What do you think here, Ryan? Lightning and Bruins.
Yeah, I definitely lean Tampa. I don't want to take minus 180. But as you were talking about it, out my window, there was a huge lightning strike. So I'm going to take that as a sign. I do like their team total.
Really?
Yeah, they have been
thunder and lightning here this morning. So join the club. So
they've been struggling a bit to score, as you mentioned, but just feel good about them in this spot. It's a veteran team. John Cooper, they don't want to lose 4 in a row and get on too big of a skid. Boston did beat them exactly. I think it was exactly a week ago. So it stays fresh in your mind when you play a team again that just beat you a week ago. So I look for their offense. I think someone mentioned that Cooch was playing, so that would be a big boost for them. And no total in the game, no first period over anything for me, but I do like that Tampa team total over 3.5.
Yeah, I find that's look, if you're going to take Tampa full game, I prefer that than minus 1. You can go Tampa in regulation too. I don't mind that, but I prefer team total. And like I said, I like the first period puck line here, plus 156. And I don't go to that very often, but you've now lost multiple games in a row, and that Philly loss should really sting because that's a team you should beat. I don't care if Kucherov was in or not. You should have won that game if you're Tampa Bay. So I think that first 20 minutes come out strong here, and I like that. I think they can get a lead in the first 20. The plus 156 first period puck line for the Lightning. I do like that value for sure. And they won't overlook Boston like last week. What do you think here in this one, Terry? Tampa Bay, Boston.
Yeah, I feel like Kucherov probably is going to play. I would expect him to play.
Remember, it's an illness, not an injury, so probably a better chance he does return, yes.
But I don't expect him to be 100%. And even the few games here before the last one, he hasn't looked right. The top line with him and Gensel and Point hasn't looked right. They project to have him here on the second line if he plays, but I don't like what I'm seeing from Tampa Bay right now. They're not a team I really want to back. So they should turn things around here. But obviously there's the revenge factor. So this could be a good spot for Tampa Bay, but I don't like what I've seen from Tampa Bay recently, and I don't like what I've seen from obviously that top line. Kucherov being sick just makes me want to stay away. So I'll pass in this one.
In our group chat, Jimmy Murphy, Mr. Boston Bruins beat writer, saying pound the Lightning puck line tonight. There he goes. So he's beating this Tampa drum, saying bounce back time. We'll see if he's right. And Tampa Bay gets their redemption here tonight against the Boston Bruins. All right, New York Rangers taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. Rangers minus 135, road favorites. The total here sitting at pretty much 6, shaded to the over in this game. Look, this is the Rangers. We don't trust the Rangers, and this is Columbus at home getting a plus price as a home underdog. I should be on them, but I'm hesitant because I'm seeing some concerning signs for Columbus. The defense is falling apart, the last couple of games. I mean, Vegas does what they want. Obviously, we saw New Jersey, a depleted New Jersey team, put a ton of goals on the board against Columbus. Now, that was in New Jersey. Again, Columbus has been great at home. I feel they can beat the Rangers, but this is also a short turnaround, rapid revenge spot for the Rangers, who are coming off a win, I must admit, against Terry's Minnesota Wild the other night. And they're still playing hard to try to make them. They're not very good. They're not very good defensively, especially the Rangers. That's really where they're not good defensively. Actually, they still have some goal scoring, and JT Miller has actually played well for them, but they're just still not great defensively. It's a huge game in the standings, especially for the Rangers, because they're trailing Columbus, and they just got embarrassed by Columbus at home. That 7-3 game at Madison Square Garden, I think it was just last week. So there's some factors that make me a little nervous, hesitant to take Columbus, but it's definitely Columbus or pass. I ain't betting. I'm not laying a price on the road with the New York Rangers, especially against a team that's been very good at home like Columbus. I like the over by Fecta here. That's what I'm going to go with. Over 1.5 and over 6 in this Rangers and Jackets game. And by the way, if you're into goal in the first 10 minutes, which we've talked about the gift, both of these teams have had a goal in the first 10 minutes of their games in 4 straight, Rangers and the Blue Jackets. So a good chance you're going to get maybe that early goal here in this game. And if you don't like the price enough pregame to bet it, you can always look at taking it, just 1 or 2 minutes into the first period. You get a better price. It looks like the goal in the first 10 here in this game. Let me just see if I can find it. Minus 150 is the pregame price. You can either take it pregame or just wait a minute or two into the first period. You'll get it right away. It'll drop to minus 140, minus 130, minus 120, as long as there's not a goal. You could wait that minute or two and get a better price. But yeah, both of these teams, 4 straight games with a goal in the first 10 minutes, which is also kind of why I like the first period over 1.5 and the full game over. I think we'll see goals here. And I think Columbus, too, they are off that shutout and system play, too. Forgot to mention that with Columbus getting obviously blanked by the Vegas Golden Knights the other night. So, and even though the system play is cooled off, I like this system play more than the other one that we mentioned with Washington. I think that can be an over too, but I like this one more with Columbus. Columbus at home has been obviously good. They've been good at scoring goals. And by the way, I'm looking at Columbus off shutout losses this year. I'm just doing a quick run through of it. 3-0 loss to Calgary. The next game they lost, but it was a 6-3 game. It went over. They had a 4-0 shutout loss at Boston. The very next game, they won 4-3 in a shootout at home against Carolina. They got shut out by the Rangers. It looks like a 1-0. Now, the next game there, they lost 3-1, so that would have been an under. But then they got shut out by Florida just recently, 3-0, and then they beat the Rangers 7-3. So 3 of the 4 games with the Jackets off a shutout loss, they've won, they've scored goals, and the game has gone over. That's been the pattern. What do you think here, Ryan? Rangers and Blue Jackets?
Yeah, definitely. I think I lean Columbus. I don't want to back New York at minus 135, but something I do like. It's not a goal in the first 10, but it is, with Columbus being off that shutout loss. Columbus to score the first goal in the first period at plus 145. I think that's worth a shot. Anytime a team is at home after, laying an egg and being shut out, they're going to want to start fast and, have a good first period, have a good start. So, I'm going to take a small shot with, Columbus first goal, first period. I think that is worth a small shot.
There you go. Good stuff. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Terry, what do you think here? New York Rangers, Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah, Elvis Merzlikins isn't playing here. He's away from the team for personal reasons. So it's
I hope he's okay mentally, because we know he's had some mental demons to fight through the last couple of years. So let's give our well wishes to Elvis there, Merzlikins.
Yeah, so that's going to be a factor here. Now, Tarasov, 3-game winning streak for him. He's played very well. And he's also 1-0-1 against the Rangers, stopping 58 of 61 shots. So he actually has played pretty well against the Rangers so far this season. Ultimately, I didn't get to anything here. Kent Johnson, I think, is a good play. His point prop is -113, -115. So if you want to play that as a single, if you want to use it as a parlay piece, I think if Columbus is going to get some offense here, Kent Johnson, I've been backing him for months now. 0.16 of his last 19 games. So he's been extremely consistent. Fantilli has a point in 3 of 4 against the Rangers, and as well as 8 of his last 10 games. So he could produce here for Columbus. I don't know. I want this Columbus team to make the playoffs. I think it would be just obviously such a great story. And if anyone can get them to the playoffs, it is Dean Evison. He is a good regular season coach. So we'll see what Columbus can do, but ultimately a pass here in this one.
All right, yeah, Fantilli against the Rangers. I mean, the stats are scary. How much he's owned them, and certainly we've talked about Werenski at home has been a point-producing machine. It's where he's done a lot of his damage. Matthew Olivier is always worth a look. We've talked about him as far as scoring goals this year, no doubt. For the New York Rangers, you look at their forward lineup for this game. I always say, Zibanejad and Kreider. And Panarin are the headliners, but I always like looking at the hard workers. Those are the guys that have carried them at times, like obviously a Will Cooley. And to me, that's what I like. Will Cooley is going to get a shot with Trocheck and Panarin on the top line, and great value there. He's one of the more harder working Rangers players on nights where the team plays like absolute horseshit. Oftentimes you won't see Will Cooley playing that way. He has been, a good catalyst for them this year. And as long as he's getting top line opportunity, there's definitely some value with him here tonight. All right, Nashville Predators, Los Angeles Kings. We've got LA -220 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. We obviously saw the Predators lose to Anaheim last night. Now they're on about back-to-back spot here in LA against the Los Angeles Kings. The Predators have been a thorn in LA's side. They've actually won 5 of the last 7 meetings against the Kings. They won earlier this season at home 3-2 in overtime in December. Now, they also played in Nashville before that in November, and the Kings did get a 3-0 shutout win there in that game. LA continues to play, for the most part, really good hockey here at Crypto.com Arena, 22-3-4 on the season. It's funny, you got one of the best home teams in the NHL, LA, one of the worst road teams in the NHL with Nashville, 8-25 this year. So, it's just the value's not great with LA, so it's probably going to be a stay off game for me when it's all said and done. I don't want Nashville. I don't trust Nashville, but LA is laying a big number here. What's funny is this going to be a sleepy under. LA is 6-4 to the under, and Nashville suddenly 7-3 to the under in their last 10 games. The 2 games this year stayed under, and the under overall is 5-0-1 in the last 6 meetings between these two teams. So everything does point to under here, and goals being few and far between in this game, which is a possibility. It looks like as far as the goaltending matchup in this game, we have Oninen and Kemper projected. That's the only fear with this under lean of mine. I'm not a Justus Oninen guy. Useless Oninen is what we call him here for the most part on this show. He has been certainly more bad than good when he's gotten the opportunity here for the Nashville Predators. That being said, he is off a win against Chicago, and he only gave up 2 goals. It was a better performance from him. Is that something I...
Oh, looks like we lost Ian there for a second.
I don't know about you, but this was probably going to be another pass. Oh.
Yeah, sorry, we're back. We just hit the wrong button there. But like I said, I think it's an under game. The only concern is Oninen in that. But then again, LA is one of those teams that they can pepper Oninen with shots, and they don't always have the greatest finish and finishing ability. So, like I say, I could see 3-2 LA, 4-2 LA. And like I said, coin flip as far as the total. What do you think here at Ryan in this one, Nashville, LA?
Yeah, I don't like this game. There being so many good ones. This is one I'm not big on. Just not much value in LA, and obviously don't trust Nashville. Not sure what you're going to get out of them. It looks like Steven Stamkos has scored a goal in 5 of his last 6 times playing in Crypto.com. So sometimes players have that one rink or that one team that for whatever reason they just seem to find the back of the net against, and it seems like he's had some success against LA. So might take a shot with that in terms of just a prop for this one, but nothing sides or totals or anything period related first period props. So I'm pretty much off this one.
All right, Terry, how about you here? Predators, Kings.
Yeah, unfortunately, the player prop that I'm taking here in this game isn't quite bargain. It's right on the edge of bargain bin material. But give me Quinton Byfield anytime goal plus 290 here in this game. I've backed him at plus 320 and plus 340 his last 2 games. I'm not jumping off here. 5 consecutive games with a goal. He's got the hot stick right now. Of course, the Predators, a disaster. This has been a disastrous season for the Nashville Predators. Second night of a back-to-back. Give me a Byfield, anytime goal, plus 290. Still great value there. And then Foegele and Trevor Moore.
Yeah,
I haven't locked in either of those guys, but they both have points in 4 of their last 5 games and both around plus 125 just to get a point. So there's value with Foegele and Moore as well, but just Quinton Byfield, plus 290 for me.
Yeah, Quinton Byfield's just on a heater right now. There's no question for the LA Kings at the moment. He is. We always said this guy. There's a reason he was drafted where he was. He's got that ability to really be a game breaker at the NHL level, and we are starting to see big time signs of that from him during this goal scoring streak that he is on. So definitely co-sign that as far as looking at props for him. And Fogue Daddy, as we call him, Warren Foegele, he is someone we've talked about a lot, and he continues to light the lamp here for this LA Kings team. So both of those props make a ton of sense here as far as for the LA Kings side of the equation. All right, next up as we continue along here on this Saturday slate, we've got only a couple of games left here in the Saturday slate at this point. We've got, as we continue along, we've got next up St. Louis and Minnesota. And by the way, if you're wondering, this is another one of those 5 p.m. local start games in LA. They did one of these last week too. So 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for that Nashville-LA game, which explains why that game is in the rotation order before St. Louis and Minnesota, because they're on at the same time, 8 Eastern for this one. Even money here, minus 110 both sides. The total here sitting at 5.5, shaded to the under in this game. I hate to break Terry's heart, but I kind of like St. Louis here. I must admit. Now, both teams are off a loss, so I expect both teams to want to bring it here. It's pivotal for Minnesota, too. They're playing for positioning, but St. Louis, obviously, they're battling for their playoff lives. To me, and we'll get Terry's thoughts, he's the Wild fan, we're starting to see that you just can't take Kirill Kaprizov, Brodin, and Eriksson Ek off this team and expect them to be great every single night. It's just that's too much to ask. And it's starting to catch up with them. They need these guys back sooner rather than later. They obviously lost to the New York Rangers the other night in that game. I think LA here after St. Louis after losing to Pittsburgh's not good. It's not a good look, just like Minnesota losing to the Rangers wasn't the best loss either. But Pittsburgh is playing a little bit better, and Jari as well. And you got St. Louis. St. Louis has had trouble with Minnesota. 3 straight wins for the Minnesota Wild. But I think there's a reason why this price has come down. I mean, this opened minus 130 or so with the Minnesota Wild. There's been a lot of money to the Blues. I think they do get the win here. I like the draw, too, quite honestly. I've seen both of these teams play tight games, overtime games. How back-to-back games have gone past regulation here for the Minnesota Wild. So I think the draw is definitely in play. So give me a St. Louis and draw split here in this game with the Blues and the Wild. And because Terry's the Wild fan in the house here, we will start with him on this one. Terry, what do you think? St. Louis, Minnesota.
Yeah, unfortunately, obviously I'm excited for this game, but unfortunately, Jordan Binnington is not getting the start tonight, which does make me a little sad. Ryan Hartman absolutely loves to play against Jordan Binnington. I have already locked in Hartman over half a point plus 155. Obviously, won't get to face Binnington here tonight. Now, I understand why Binnington is not starting here. He was in net for all 3 of the Blues' losses to the Wild this year. The Blues have lost all 3 games, all by multiple goals as well. The Wild find their offense against the Blues. Obviously, no Kaprizov. Obviously, no Joel Eriksson. Jonas Brodin sounds like he'll be back around sometime next week sometime. So that'll be a good addition. Ultimately, the players that are hot right now have had success against St. Louis. So that's why if the Wild, why I do think the Wild stand a chance here. Marcus Johansson, a 0.5 of 7, 3 in a row against St. Louis. Boldy, a 0.3 of 4 against St. Louis. Obviously, I said Hartman, 4 in a row. And then Spurgeon has a 0.3 of his last 5, 3 in a row against St. Louis. But my one other play here in this game, which I absolutely have to take, is Zach Bolduc, anytime goal.
Yes, 100%. We've mentioned him on this show multiple times. He's maybe their best goal scorer or in best form right now.
Yeah, and even against the Wild, I have to take him. Small play on him, but plus 440 for Bolduc to score here in this game. I have to take him here. But I still think Ryan Hartman has a good night. I would have loved to have Binnington start here, but I think the Wild can get to Hofer as well. So we'll see what happens here in this one.
Yeah, I would have preferred Binnington, I will admit, with the Blues bet, but I still like the spot for them. Hofer is hit or miss. Let's be honest. That's what we're dealing with whenever he's in net for St. Louis. But like I said, I got a little better price too. I mean, minus 110. It's moved quite a bit. I mean, when I got on it, it was plus 105. So it's moved a little bit even further from that point on St. Louis. But I like them in this spot here. And the draw, I think, is definitely in play. Definitely wouldn't be shocked to see this game go past 60 minutes. Ryan, what do you think here, Blues Wild?
Yeah, I honestly kind of lean Minnesota. I know I do like the draw as well. I'm going to sprinkle that. It's obviously a Central Division, rivalry game. Minnesota is trying to catch Colorado, trying to catch Dallas, and St. Louis is trying to, fight for that last wild card spot. So if it is, a 1-goal game or tied game, last few minutes of the game, I could see both teams taking the point and, fighting for that second one. So I'm going to sprinkle the draw, but I kind of lean Minnesota, even with their injuries. They're going to want to bounce back. They're at home. And I kind of like them in this spot. So I think they take care of business tonight against St. Louis, who has also, struggled.
Yeah, I mean, they were red hot for a bit, and then suddenly they've cooled off a little bit too. But like I said, interesting matchup there with the Blues and the Wild. All right, final game of this Saturday slate out, and it's the only late game tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern time. The only real late West Coast game, Chicago and Vancouver. We've got Vancouver minus 270. Home favorites, and the total here sitting at 5.5 across the board in this one. Obviously, when you're talking about the Vancouver Canucks, they clearly were galvanized by Quinn Hughes being back against Calgary. You could see it. They looked lifeless at times in the night before when they played. And then, of course, the very next game against Calgary, which was a huge game for them to be able to get that win. In a battle right now that they're raging with the Flames for that final wild card spot. You could see that definitely galvanized them. We'll see how this one fares against Chicago. But, Chicago losing to San Jose 4-2. It doesn't give me a boatload of confidence for them here against Vancouver. That being said, this is just a price that's just way too expensive on Vancouver. Way too expensive on Vancouver. Even though obviously they have, they're absolutely amazing defensemen back in the fold, which is obviously a big deal for them. It's still a situation where you're just not getting any sort of big time bargain here right now with the Vancouver Canucks in this spot. We'll see how it plays out. It is Bedard back home, though. Of course, Vancouver boy in front of. Now I looked into this angle last time he was in Vancouver, and he had a very quiet game. So I'm almost like, once bitten, twice shy. That's a great 80s song, by the way. Look it up. My, I'm once bitten, twice shy, baby. Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel with Connor Bedard right now in terms of his props tonight. in this game against Vancouver. But this one is a game where if it's I'm looking, it's probably an Arvid Soderblom start, if I'm not mistaken, here tonight. You would think, because Spencer Knight got the call against San Jose.
Oh, looks like Ian froze there. We are having, because I live close to Ian. We are having like bad weather out there, so
yeah,
I can understand why he froze there. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, we're back. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'd expect Sorensen to go with Arvid Soderblom and net, but again, we'll have to wait and see on that. I'm waiting on this game. If it's Soderblom, I think Vancouver's got a little bit better chance. Although I know Soderblom's had a good season, we'll have to wait and see. But like I said, it's a tough game. I don't trust Chicago enough, and Vancouver, meanwhile. It's a situation where at minus 270, there's just no friggin' way I'm interested at this price. So I haven't moved on this game yet. I'm waiting to see. I'll check the Patreon page later. Then you'll see if I've got anything on this game. What do you think here, Ryan? Chicago, Vancouver.
Yeah, I'm same as you. I'm trying to figure out if I want to take a shot with Chicago. Vancouver is obviously not worth it, but Chicago could be a fun, just small bet. And then obviously Bedard. I know you said the first game there didn't do much, but anytime you have a player going back home, it doesn't matter if they're a rookie or 10-year veteran. They usually have a bunch of family and friends, and they want to play well against the team that they grew up rooting for and their hometown team, and so it's usually special. So I think Bedard, any of his goal props, anytime, maybe even 2+ or 2+ points. I think any of those are worth a shot anytime he goes back to Vancouver. He'll want to play well for all those people in attendance. So still trying to figure out if I want to take Chicago, but I do like those Bedard props for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna sprinkle on Bedard props, even though, like I said, last time he was pretty silent as far as, and that was surprising. The last time he played in Vancouver against the Canucks. What do you think here, Terry? Chicago, Vancouver.
Yeah, most people know my opinion on Connor Bedard, but I was with you, Ian. I had his goal and assist prop, I think, in his game against Vancouver, and I believe he got one shot on goal. Both games against Vancouver, he doesn't have any points this year, and he hasn't played all that well recently. Only has a point in 2 of his last 10 games. So Bedard is just, he's not, and he's playing with Colton Dach and Jason Dickinson, and I get it. Like, maybe you don't want to split up that second line, which I'm about to talk about in a second, but you got to give Bedard a better chance to succeed if you want him to get out of the slump. He's had an awful season. So I tried that with Bedard one time. I'm not doing that again. However, I will take Ilya Mikheyev anytime goal. He scored in 3 of his last 4 games. He's on that line with Donato and Teravainen.
Anyone on that line is worth a look. That's been their best line. And plus, it's the former team angle, too. Used to play for the Vancouver Canucks.
There you go. And Donato, 0.9 of 10. Teravainen, a 0.8 of 10. That line for Chicago is on fire right now. And Ilya Mikheyev, anytime goals, plus 550. For a guy who scored in 3 of his last 4 games, no-brainer there. And then for Vancouver, give me Elias Pettersson, who's finally starting to turn things around. 3 consecutive games with a goal, 3 consecutive games with a power play point. He's got a 0.6 of 8 against Chicago, so he's had some success against the Hawks. Elias Pettersson, anytime goal, plus 200 for Pettersson, who's got a hot stick right now. So 2 plays, both smaller plays here for me for the last game of the night.
And they're all good. I think Teravainen, you're right. Donato's Pizza. We've talked about how good he's been. And you're right about Mikheyev. It's not only a great angle, but he's been scoring lately, 100%. And you're right. And Elias Pettersson, EP40, man. Is this a sign of some life here right now for him? Back-to-back games with a goal against Calgary and Montreal, 3 in his last 4 games, 4 points in his last 4 games as well. So, like I said, this is good for Vancouver. This is what you want to see. You want to see this guy kind of get it rolling a little bit and start to live up to that big-time contract that he got so well paid for by the Vancouver Canucks. And we'll see if he can continue to build on what he's been able to do here the last few games. All right, that's it. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. That's the Saturday slate. And a reminder, make sure if you haven't signed up already, you get to patreon.com/iceguys. It's just $10 per month. Make sure you check it out. Goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. And of course, we've got our next Ice Guys Live Betcast, which is also exclusive to Patreon members. And it comes your way Tuesday, March 25th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you join us for that one. Make sure you sign up on the Patreon page before Tuesday, March 25th, because that's your only way to tune into the Betcast and join us on the stream is to be a Patreon member. So again, make sure you sign up and subscribe. Your subscription goes a long way to making sure the Ice Guys is going for the long term. $10 per month. Make sure you sign up. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. And make sure you check out, of course, the Ice Guys store. Get your gear and your merch at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Tons of great new gear and merchandise items as well at the Ice Guys store. So make sure you check that out. iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code ICEGUYS at bostonhempinc.com. All right, Bargain Bin Special of the night. And that I didn't even mention it yet when we did the Friday recap. That was the highlight of my night. You know, it was another so-so night overall, but the highlight was Brandon Montour, Seattle Kraken, plus 600. My Bargain Bin Special cashing in last night. So we'll see if we can give you another winner in the bargain bin here on this Saturday. Ryan, though, we'll start with you. Bargain Bin Special.
Yeah, I'm going to go something a little different here. I'm going to take a D-man. I'm going to go to that Chicago-Vancouver game. Give me Quinn Hughes anytime goal scorer, plus 350. You know, he hasn't found the back of the net yet since returning to play. And I just have a feeling, you know, maybe he blasts one of those bombs from the point on the power play and, you know, puts one in. So I'm going to take a shot with him. Give me Quinn Hughes anytime goal scorer tonight, plus 350, all the way up to plus 370 I see on some books. So shop around, look for the best price. But that's what I'm going with for my Bargain Bin Special.
All right, there you go. Quinn Hughes, Vancouver Canucks, plus 350. Bargain Bin Special for Ryan Rott's a good pick. I could see him actually maybe striking and finding the back of the net tonight against Chicago. Terry Edelman, great job. Thanks for joining us in the late last minute. last minute fill in with Alex on the men today. But what do you like here, Terry, for a bargain bin special?
I wish I could take Byfield, but of course he's not in the range, so that's okay. I'm going to go back to the game we just talked about, Ilya Mikheyev. 3 of his last 4 games, but also because he's on a line that's so hot right now with Teravainen and Donato. That's why I'll take Mikheyev plus 550. Great value there.
Yeah, absolutely it is. No doubt. All right. Ilya Mikheyev, Chicago Blackhawks, plus 550. It is a great price indeed for him to score a goal and find the back of the net for Terry Edelman here with his bargain bin special of the night. My bargain bin special of the night, this I couldn't believe the price with how good he's played, how he's scoring right now for the Ottawa Senators. Shane Parlay Pinto. We have had bargain bin special success with this guy in the past, and he's plus 500 at BetMGM to find the back of the net tonight. Great price. Shane Pinto, Ottawa Senators, plus 500 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Saturday. Ryan, we'll start with you. Best bet, what do you like?
Yeah, for my best bet, I'm going to go the Toronto Maple Leafs money line, minus 140. Ottawa has taken it to them the last few games. The Leafs are back at home, no travel. I feel good about them in this spot, and I think they take care of business. And so I feel good about that. Give me Toronto Maple Leafs money line for my best bet today.
There you go. Toronto minus 140. Best bet for Ryan Robinson here with the Leafs to get it done tonight in the Battle of Ontario for best bet. Terry Edelman, best bet.
Well, sadly, we're going head-to-head, but we're also going head-to-head on best bets. I got to go with the Senators.
I like it.
Plus 120. I got them for plus 140. I love this spot for them. I love the way they're playing right now. So, unfortunately, I got to go with the Senators here in this one.
We got a best bet battle going on here. Terry, like in Ottawa. Ryan, like in Toronto. Do you know what that means? It's a guaranteed winner night with the best bet here on the Ice Guys show. My best bet, it does not come from that Ottawa-Toronto game. It does not. But my best bet here for this Saturday NHL slate, I'm going to put my faith in the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, and I'm going to take their team total. Over 3.5, plus 115. They owe Boston one. It was an ugly game for them last week in Boston or in Tampa, 4-0 shutout, shocking everybody after the Bruins made all those trades. I think Kucherov's going to play, and I think again Tampa Bay. It's just preferable for me rather than money line. Take their team total. A lot of the games Tampa wins, they score 4 goals. So Tampa Bay team total over 3.5, plus 118 for my best bet here for this Saturday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Appreciate the support. And again, we've certainly got tons going on today. Lots of NHL, college basketball, conference tournaments still ongoing. Tons of great excitement and great games there. You name it. So it's a great sports weekend on tap. We're getting closer to the playoffs. And a reminder again, our next betcast, because someone did ask me this morning, where's all the bet? We haven't had a betcast for a while. It's because of the tournament stuff going on in basketball. It does take up a good amount of my time. So that's why we're waiting. Not as many betcasts this month, but we do have the Patreon exclusive betcast Tuesday, March 25th. And we got a ton of betcasts in April to make up for it. Free betcasts, Patreon exclusive betcasts, you name it. We're going to have a ton of betcasts in April at the end of the regular season and going into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So have no fear. The betcasts are here for you starting in April. We're going to have a ton of them. So get ready for that. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. And yes, stay safe this weekend. It is St. Paddy's Day. Drink a shit ton, but don't find yourself, falling over, keeled over in a ditch somewhere. Okay, we want you back here, obviously, be this week and beyond. But have a great, St. Paddy's Day time of it, no doubt. But that's not till Monday, right? Monday is St. Paddy's Day, so it's still a couple of days away. For Ryan Robinson and Terry Edelman, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Sunday, noon Eastern time, for another edition of the Ice Guys.